One of the most hauntingly powerful churches I have ever been inside is the Kaiser Wilhelm Gedächtniskirche in Berlin. Erected in the 1890s, it was once a magnificent edifice. In 1943, during World War II, the city of Berlin was utterly devastated in a horrific bombing, and along with much of the city, that church was almost completely destroyed. Part of the steeple remains standing, and it was decided to preserve that skeletal vestige of the building as a grim reminder of just how terrible modern war really is. In the 1960s, a new church was erected around the ruins of the old one and dedicated to peace and reconciliation between peoples and between people. Inside this Lutheran church, I was once privileged to celebrate an interfaith service together with the Lutheran pastor. How moving it was to absorb that message of peace. It is a Lutheran church, but all of us felt very much at home. No matter if we were German or American, no matter what our language was, no matter what our faith was, we were united there, and we all felt that powerful sense of peace and reconciliation which that church was all about. Isn't that what every church should be all about? Isn't that what the whole world should be all about? The atmosphere of the church is overwhelming. All is stark and bare, and the walls are made up entirely of dark blue glass. With over 21,000 blocks of this glass reaching all the way to the ceiling, it immerses one completely in a sea of blue, as though the building itself and everyone in it were part of the night sky. The sunlight shining through the deep blue intensifies the impact of this striking color. Piercing through the stark sea of blue appear shocking patches of ruby red, emerald green, and yellow, startlingly reminiscent of what the terrified people saw and experienced during the horrific bombing. Terror is perfectly captured. I am too young to have lived through the bombings of World War II, but I have spoken with many people who did. Those who lived through those dreadful nights, when flares of light fell on every side and everything around burst into flame, can never forget the utter terror, the utter devastation, the utter hell. Falling through the night sky were bombs known as Christmas trees, because that is what they looked like. Once you saw the Christmas trees falling, you knew what was coming next, and it was anything but Christmas. As I sat there in that church, surrounded by the night sky of glass and the patches of light like Christmas tree bombs, I was haunted by the terror of those people who lived through all this, and even more of those who did not. Besides the deep blue glass, only one other object adorns the dark church. That is an enormous, magnificent golden figure of the Christ hovering right there in that terrible night sky, unmistakably present in the midst of all the bombs and all the fear, the one ray of hope in a world of darkness and bombs and terror. For all those frightened people, how consoling it must have been, in all their terror and panic, to know that they had a God bigger than all of that. If they had someone who was not a Catholic Christ or a Lutheran Christ or any other kind of limited Christ, but a Christ for all. We all need a Christ in our life. Someone who is not beyond the bombs, not outside our fears, but right there with us. May we never have to experience what those people experienced in that awful night. During our life, though, all of us go through periods when dark night seems to surround us, when bombs, big and small, seem to fall around us and set our world afire. Sometimes it seems our church is going to collapse around us, and sometimes our whole world, and sometimes it does. How beautiful to look up in those moments and see as the one thing before our eyes a God who is bigger than all the bombs in our life. Not a distant God on a faraway throne, but a God who is with us during our darkest nights and through the bombs which fall our way. A God who gives us hope, who is our hope. A God who is there for all of us, whether German, American, Filipino, Mexican, Chinese, whether Lutheran, Muslim, Jew, Catholic, Buddhist, whether friend or foe, black or white, straight or gay, man or woman or little baby. A God who is beyond all of that and bigger than all of that. A God who comes to set the earth ablaze with the all-consuming fire of love. A fire powerful enough not only to pierce through the darkest night, but to melt the blazing bombs of human hate falling about us. In life's moments of terrifying darkness and even more terrifying light, we reach out in a desperate attempt to hold on to God, only to find that God is already holding us.